On today's show, Eddy Cue's new job, M1X Max in September or October, and the biggest Apple YouTube event since that one that didn't happen in March. Plus, your questions, iCaveAnswered. I'm iCaveDave and I simplify Apple so that everything just works for you, and if you want the latest Apple news, leaks and rumours every weekday at 12 UTC, like this video, subscribe to the channel and ring my notification bell. So first up, Eddy Cue moves into a new role as SVP of Services, dropping the software "and" from his responsibilities. This is via 9 to 5 Mac. Eddy oversees the full range of Apple services, including Apple Music, Apple News, Apple Podcasts, Apple TV app, Apple TV Plus, as well as Apple Pay, Apple Card, Maps, Search Ads, Apple's iCloud services, and Apple's productivity and creativity apps. Now, let's just take a moment to notice that Apple's productivity and creativity apps are now classed as Apple services. That suggests subscriptions coming soon. Now, I'm assuming that might be iWork Plus, where you get additional templates or you get additional content or something, but the same, I would guess, for the Pro Suite. That would be what I would call Apple's creativity apps. Eddy's team has an excellent track record of building and strengthening world-class services that meet and exceed the high expectations of Apple's customers and offer creators and storytellers the opportunity to bring their creative visions to people around the world. So I think this kind of adds to what I was saying previously about Apple moving to potentially some subscription models on things like the Pro apps. But also, we did notice previously that there was a subscription thing around some of the iWork products, Pages, Numbers, and Keynote. And I think that, again, because this is free software right now from Apple, I don't imagine they're going to go, no, you can't have it for free anymore. Now you have to subscribe. And I think that indicates as well what we will probably see for Final Cut 2. So if you go for this Pro Apps Plus or iWork Plus or whatever it is that they come out with, and I would guess this might be the October event as well, this might make a lot of sense. This could be something where they're adding a lot more value. At the moment, there's a huge ecosystem out there of people that make new transitions, because the stuff that you get in Final Cut is pretty good, but it's quite limited. So maybe Apple is going to bring out a lot more transition packs, just like they release music packs for GarageBand and for Logic quite often. They don't really do the same for Final Cut, and maybe that's something that we have to look forward to. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments, but please don't dislike this video just because you don't want it to go subscription. That's not my fault. Next up, most rumours are pointing to M1X Max in October, not September, but I'm not convinced. So I've mentioned that I think that the MacBooks Pro will be revealed in September, and that's primarily based off the reveal of them in the EEC database out of Russia, where electronic devices get registered. Now, typically in September we're shown iPhone, Apple Watch and iPad models for the year. Now, obviously we have to ignore last year because for some reason or other, 2020 was not what we'd call a typical year between iPhone delays, digital events and the advent of Apple Silicon. And there was something else, but it slips my mind. However, when Apple registered their new devices with the EEC, they registered iPhones, Apple Watches, and 2 MacBooks. There are no iPads here, which suggests to me that Apple may be pushing those devices off to an October event. If so, I would guess we'll see their filing about the same time as the September event is announced, around about the 7th of September. Now, I think that Apple is aiming for a September reveal for the MacBook Pro 14 and 16-inch, with mini LED displays, or XDR displays as Apple will likely brand them, and I think that Apple will want to take advantage of the incredible number of people that watch an iPhone reveal event to blow people away with the performance that Apple's M1X will offer, tempting more customers deeper into the Apple ecosystem. While everyone is aware of Macs, they still have a perception in the public of being underpowered and overpriced, and that's mainly thanks to the terrible thermal performance of the 2015 to 2019 MacBook Pros, which is a direct result of Intel having failed miserably to follow the roadmap that they'd laid out, not increasing chip efficiency as they'd promised. Now, it would be amazing if alongside these MacBooks and potentially a Mac Mini, but we don't know if they'll be in the new design or not, Apple could bring some game developers onto the stage to show off new titles coming natively to Apple Silicon, along with a new set of tools along the lines of Rosetta or Steam's Proton that will bring a massive swath of existing games to the platform. Valve's Proton and Vulkan technology should be developed further by the end of this year for the Steam Deck, which is Linux-based, but that technology can actually be applied directly to macOS too. Then, as I've mentioned before, iPads will then get a fairly dedicated event in October, introducing the updated Pro apps that are iPad compatible, but add new features across the board and possibly that subscription option on Final Cut and Logic. but I guess we'll see. Let me know your thoughts about all of those timings. As I say, I'm out there on my own again, but I tend to do that, and I tend to also be wrong, but I think you can understand why I have the reasoning that I do behind what I think is going to happen. That huge YouTube event, it is the iCaveAnswered. It's going to be massive. We've now confirmed that we have Constant Geekery, Alex Gear and Tech, Saran Bites, Alt-Tech Dad, Brian Tong, Mark Sequence, Luke Miani and John Prosser. Those are all confirmed with timings. We'll have some vintage Apple gear to play with. We've got questions from you guys and more. There's actually going to be some more guests that I'm just getting timings confirmed for, but believe me when I tell you that this is going to be a packed 6 hours. The link is right up there, so make sure that you have your notifications on and I'll see you there. But now it's time for your questions, and if you want to ask anything in the show, of course, just use hashtag iCaveAnswers in the comments section with your question. So the first question today comes from Evan Rogers. iCaveAnswers, in a recent supply chain report indicates that Intel, not Apple, will get the lead position on TSMC's N3 node. Do you buy that? So there's mixed reports right now that Apple and Intel have both bought out huge chunks of it. In general, because TSMC and Apple have worked together for a long time, very, very closely, I would assume that Apple is not going to be shunned here, because Intel does have their own fabs, and Intel is having to use TSMC's because their own fabs can't get to these nodes quickly enough. So I don't see that TSMC is likely to kind of push Apple aside for Intel, but we just don't know what goes on behind the scenes. We don't know how big the truck of money is that Intel has had to back up to TSMC's door. But Apple has got a fair amount of cash on hand as well and is probably not that worried. Or they've found that the 4nm process that they're going to be using for the next iPhones, we assume, is actually efficient enough for what they need, and actually they can afford to wait a little bit longer and maybe have taken like a discount on those chips based on having a little bit longer of a wait. So there's ways that this could be either way round, but I don't think that TSMC is going to be shafting Apple anytime soon. Uncle Burr asks, how do I get some of that pizza on Sunday? Local delivery services are available in most areas, so all you need to do is call your local delivery place, let them know that you're watching the iCaveAnswered show, and they will charge you just the normal rate. There'll be no additional cost to you. Marcin Kowalczyk asks, iCaveAnswers, where did you get your NASA t-shirts and other cool stuff from? Well, right here in the UK, we have a shop called Primark, which is a wondrous place where they sell all kinds of things that are very, very cheap, and the NASA top in particular is in fact my pyjamas. James Apple, will Macs have touchscreen or will we get Apple Pencil support? If they put Pencil support on macOS software, I'm sure more feasible due to the fact that Sidecar makes you use your Apple Pencil on the iPad display if you use it as a second monitor. Also, the price of the Apple Pencil can be justified if you have both a Mac and an iPad. Yeah, and this is what I've been saying right from the beginning. I think that the Apple Pencil is a great way to interact with a Mac compared to poking the screen with your fingers. And I think once they get to larger displayed iMacs and maybe giving it a slightly different stand so that you could fold it down like a drawing board, I think that would be an incredible product. Doesn't look like that's what they're doing at the moment. But yeah, I think the Apple Pencil would be a great way of interacting with the Macs. However, I've not seen from Monterey anything that would suggest that they're actually working on that at the moment. Linda Lawson asks, Dave, where do you find your vintage Apple products? Hello. Hey, little Ted. You want to come in and wave? So, typically eBay has been huge for me. The Apple Newton, the EM8 300 that we're going to be looking at, that was from Facebook Marketplace. I think it was £15, which was just like crazy cheap. But my iMac G4, I think I got that from eBay for maybe £30. That was quite a while ago. It didn't work at the time, works now. I got a few from car boot sales, which I guess is like the equivalent of like a flea market or I guess like garage sales. But instead of being on people's front lawn, everyone comes to a field with their car full of things and just lays everything out. It's quite fun. But yeah, I've got a couple of the PowerMac G4s from there, PowerMac G3, G4, and a G5 I got from eBay. That was with the cinema display. That was about £80, but I did have to drive to Liverpool to get it. Marcin Kowalczyk asks, iCaveAnswers, have you ever used a black and white screen Mac? If so, what are your thoughts? Actually, I haven't, but I do have what is probably Macintosh Classic 2. I've got one of those sitting up on the shelf up here, which I've never powered up. I picked that up as probably not working. Doesn't have a keyboard or mouse, but it might be a fun thing as well to plug that in and see if it either explodes or powers up and looks kind of cool. Maybe we'll do that on Sunday too. And James Apple, what's the best sake to drink? I drink answers, iCave answers. I'm not an expert on sake, but I will see if my friend Sam, who is an expert on sake, can come on the show on Sunday and get his take on it. If not, I'll get some recommendations from him and we'll put it into the live show. How's that? Cool, so we managed to bring it all the way back around to the live show, which was a great segue from me. Don't forget you can click the link. I can't put it up here again because we already did it once in the show. They only let you do it once. So you're going to have to scroll back and click on it there. Or you could just be here on Sunday at 1 PM. Don't forget we're also going to have a show tomorrow. Fingers crossed that I get time to make it. Which will be me going through the first Apple Daily. So make sure that you're here. Looking forward to seeing you all this weekend.